Welcome to Short Story Stash. On today's episode, an ancient power binds a woman to the land. Tallulah becomes the mountain's vengeful champion. As greed consumes her village, she unleashes the mountain's fury, facing the consequences of her destiny. A mesmerizing tale of betrayal, sacrifice, and the raw power of the earth. Long before man demolished and stained the Appalachian Mountains in search of the fuels for modern living, the mountain stood as a timeless sentinel, its roots reaching deep into the earth's core. The mountain was so ancient and full of wisdom that it could almost be considered a living entity, its spirit pulsating through the veins of the rock and the whispers of the wind. The native tribes who resided in the valley beneath the mountain held it in the highest regard. They believed that the mountain was a great and benevolent guardian, providing them with everything they needed for their survival. The crystal-clear streams that flowed from its peaks nourished their crops and quenched their thirst. The lush forests that cloaked its slopes provided them with game to hunt and wood for their fires. The mountain's very presence seemed to protect them from the harsh elements and the dangers that lurked beyond the valley. The natives, knowing this, had an agreement with the mountain. Do not dig into the mountain, and you and your people will be provided for. This pact was not just a simple understanding, but a sacred bond that connected the tribes to the mountain on a spiritual level. They performed rituals and offerings to honor the mountain's spirit, and in return, the mountain bestowed its blessings upon them. For generations, the tribes had lived in harmony with the mountain, understanding that they were merely guests in the mountain's vast domain. They had made a solemn pact with the mountain. As long as they respected its boundaries and did not seek to exploit its riches, the mountain would continue to provide them with its bountiful gifts. This pact had been passed down through the generations and was sacred to the tribes. One day, the young chief Ticum grew restless. He began to question the wisdom of the ancient pact and wondered if the mountain was hiding even greater treasures than the tribes had been allowed to know. He was curious about the mountain's true potential and believed that his people could harness its power for their own benefit. Tecum's curiosity soon turned into an obsession. He spent long hours gazing at the mountain, trying to unravel its secrets. He consulted with the tribe's elders and shamans, seeking their guidance and wisdom, but they all urged him to respect the pact and not to disturb the mountain's delicate balance. Despite their warnings, the chief's ambition grew stronger with each passing day. He began to envision a future where his tribe could become the most powerful in the region, with the mountain's hidden treasures at their disposal. He convinced himself that the mountain spirit would understand and forgive their trespass if it was done for the greater good of the tribe. As Chief Ticum's obsession consumed him, he started to gather a group of loyal followers who shared his vision. They began to make plans to explore the mountain's depths, to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within its rock and stone. He knew that this would be a dangerous undertaking, but he was willing to risk everything for the chance to unlock the mountain's true potential. Ticum, filled with ambition, gathered his most valiant warriors and sent them to the mountain's side to dig and explore. As they hacked away at the mountain's rocky exterior, they stumbled upon a vein of coal, dark and shiny, glistening in the sunlight that filtered through the dense forest. The chief and his warriors marveled at the sight, their hearts pounding with excitement. They had discovered a treasure trove of black gold, as they came to call it. As time went on, the tribe became increasingly disrespectful of the mountain's boundaries. They began to dig and explore the mountain's depths, driven by their newfound desires for wealth and power. Little did the chief know that his actions would set in motion a chain of events that would forever change the fate of his tribe and the mountain itself. The mountain, sensing the impending betrayal, began to stir from its ancient slumber, ready to unleash its fury upon those who dared to violate the sacred pact. The mountain, once a benevolent guardian, watched as its once sacred domain was defiled by the very people it had so generously provided for. The mountain had grown weary of the chief's relentless pursuit of its hidden treasures. As the chief and his followers began to dig deeper into the mountain's core, the mountain's patience finally ran out. It drew deep into its pits and brought forth its terrors, unleashing a hellish fury upon the tribe. Fire and brimstone rained down from the mountain's peak, setting the forests ablaze and turning the once lush valley into a smoldering wasteland. The rivers ran red with blood, and the air was filled with the agonized screams of the dying. Hellish beasts, demons, and haints beyond normal comprehension emerged from the depths of the mountain, their grotesque forms and malevolent presence striking terror into the hearts of the tribe. The people, once loyal to their chief, grew angry with Chief Tekum. They demanded a solution, a way to appease the mountain's wrath and restore the balance that had been so carelessly disrupted. Chief Tekum, realizing the gravity of his mistake, knew that he had to make amends with the mountain if his tribe was to survive. Desperate and remorseful, Chief Tekum approached the mountain, offering himself as a sacrifice to atone for his transgressions. To his surprise, the mountain, curious about this sudden change of heart, allowed him to speak. As Chief Tekum stood before the mountain's spirit, he pleaded for forgiveness and asked what he could do to make things right. The mountain, its voice echoing through the caverns, made a simple request: a single woman. The woman chosen was the outcast Tallulah, abandoned by the tribe at age 10 for bringing a prematurely born foal back to life and completely healthy. Forced to live at the edge of the tribe, fending for herself for her unknown powers of nature, a larger framed woman of almost 20. Nearing 6 foot in height, long black hair draping down her back loose, flying in the wind. Her bright blue eyes the main difference of her appearance from her family. Tallulah stood tall and proud, her long hair whipping in the wind as she watched the chief approach her lone teepee. His face, once familiar, now seemed aged and soured, like milk left out in the sun with an ever-present scowl. She couldn't help but wonder what the elders could possibly want with her after 9 long years of isolation, and why they would send Chief Tekum himself. "Outcast, you are summoned to appear before the elders. Come with me at once," Chief Tekum demanded, his eyes narrowing as he pointed towards the village. Tallulah frowned slightly, crossing her arms over her chest. "What could your elders want with me that's so important they send you?" she asked, her voice laced with suspicion. "No questions!" Chief Tekum spat, his face reddening with anger. "Come now," he growled, turning on his heel and marching towards the village. As she reluctantly followed Chief Tekum into the main teepee, Tallulah was struck by how much had changed since she last set foot inside. The elders sat in ornate chairs made from the minerals found deep within the mountain, their faces stern and unreadable. They sat in a semicircle around a large open space in the center, surrounded by the other members of the tribe. She spotted her parents among the crowd, but they refused to meet her gaze, a painful reminder of the rejection she had faced so many years ago. Surrounded by warriors on all sides. "To make sure you don't try anything," Chief Tekum had said, his voice dripping with disdain. Tallulah stood in the center of the open space. As she reached the center of the open space, the warriors crossed their spears in front of her, stopping her in her tracks. The chief began by rapping his walking stick against a large stone 3 times, silencing the murmuring crowd. Chief Tekum began to speak, his voice echoing through the teepee. "Outcast, you have been chosen by the mountain as our sacrifice, to rectify the wrongs committed by our people." Tallulah couldn't help but scoff, her eyes flashing with anger. "Our people? You have not been my people since you threw me to the wolves when I was a child," she retorted, her fists clenching at her sides. The chief's face hardened, his voice booming through the teepee. "Silence!" He took a deep breath, regaining his composure before continuing. "You have been chosen by the mountain, and you will go. If you return, you will be welcomed back into the tribe and forgiven of all your wrongs against nature." Tallulah hesitated, weighing her options, her brow furrowed in thought. The chance to be accepted by the tribe once more was tempting, but she couldn't shake the feeling that this might be some sort of trick. "You swear on all Mother Earth this is not some trick to just be rid of me?" she asked, her voice steady despite the uncertainty in her heart, her eyes searching the chief's face for any sign of deceit. The chief's face softened, his tone becoming almost gentle as he placed a hand on her shoulder. "This is no trick, child. The mountain chose you for this task, not us." With no other options, Tallulah reluctantly agreed, her shoulders slumping in resignation. "Excellent," Chief Tekum said, a smile spreading across his face. With a booming, authoritative voice, he summoned 2 warriors as her escort. The larger of the 2, Ahiga, a lurking figure of 6'3", stood silently waiting for further instructions, his dark eyes fixed on Tallulah. His long, dark hair was in an ornate braid down his back, his dark brown eyes rich and earthy hues, reminiscent of fertile soil, watching every move Tallulah made, as Ahiga was very loyal to Chief Tekum. The smaller had been a friend of hers before she was banished. Tahoma was almost the opposite. A small framed man standing around 5'8", also had his long dark hair in a braid much simpler than his large counterpart. His eyes were a darker blue, like a midnight sky with their inky hues and subtle hints of starlight. As she was led from the teepee with her escort, Tallulah glanced over her shoulder one last time, her heart heavy with memories. The tribe she had once called her own now seemed like a distant memory, and the mountain loomed ahead, a daunting challenge she had no choice but to face. As they reached the base of the mountain, Tallulah's thoughts turned to the original mine. She had heard stories of the dangers that lurked within its depths, but she pushed those fears aside, her jaw set with determination. She was the outcast, the one chosen by the mountain itself. Whatever may lay ahead, she would face it with the same strength and determination that had kept her alive all these years. Will Tallulah appease the mountain's wrath? Find out in the next chapter. The fate of the tribe and the mountain's wrath hang in the balance. Subscribe now and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next thrilling chapter of The Witch Queen.